and go for it.
Thank you. Hello guys, welcome to Fresno City Toastmasters. I'm Chanel, current club president. I'm going to read our mission statement to start us out. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience to empower our members to develop their communication and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So I think the announcements that we have is that dues are due at the end of this month on March 31st. So I think, Joey, how many people do we need to pay on time to get credit for that? Is it 6?
I think it's 8.
8? Okay.
I think it's 8. It's 6 to 8, 6 or 8. I think it's 8. Because it used to not be an issue. 8 was, we'd had 20 in the group. 8 wasn't a big deal. So 8 would be, but now with the group being a little bit smaller, that's getting at least our board to pay on time, and then just a couple members.
Yes, so it would be great if we could get club points for that. If we could get us to pay on time. Joey, I did send mine to you a couple of days ago on PayPal.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, let me check. I haven't checked it, so it's probably sitting in there waiting.
Yeah. So that would be.
And then I'll send an email out today to the group. Yeah, I see yours in there.
Cool. Okay, and then the other announcement is that the speech contest, thankfully for me, got moved to this Saturday the 12th. So it did not happen last Saturday the 5th, which I was very grateful for because I was not super productive last week, and I'm very grateful for the extra time to prepare. But it will be happening this Saturday from 3 to 6 if anybody wants to tune in for that. They just actually sent out the link like 3 or 4 days ago, so I can I'll forward that to everybody today after the meeting. But it's going to be the entire district, so District 33, I think. They decided to combine all of the areas because I think like in our area, out of the 4 clubs, there were only 2 people, me and 1 other, who were going to participate. So in order to make it more of an event, they decided to combine them all into the district. Okay, any other announcements?
No, I think we're good.
Good, okay. All right, we will get started on the meeting then. Everybody's here. Since Emerson is not here and not speaking, Joey will just move you down to evaluate my speech or just facilitate that, I suppose.
Okay. You want to do like a group thing again? Because it's the same speech, but you've done your changes to it?
Correct, yes, same speech.
Okay.
And yeah, great feedback from everybody. Has everybody already heard this? Who wasn't here last time? Farron?
I think everybody did. Farron, were you there? Oh, Farron wasn't there. Okay.
Okay, that's great. I would love.
We get a fresh face, fresh brain on that.
Eloquent one among us. Okay. Cool. With that, I will pass the podium over to our Toastmaster today, Sarah.
Thanks, Chanel. I really like the topic leader versus follower. I've spent a lot of time in adventure-based education and counseling. And so this is something that we have talked about a lot, leaders and followers. And it's really neat because I love the phrase that says, in order to be a good leader, you need to be able to be a good follower. And being able to submit to your authority. I know people don't like that word submit too much nowadays, but being able to respect the authority that's given and be able to follow the direction, but also be able to step up and be able to take a leadership role at times when it comes to you, because each of us has things that we're very good at. And so this is the way I see it in Toastmasters, is that each of us has strengths that we're working on that we get to share with the rest of the group. And those times we get to step up and lead. And at other times, when other people are really good at something, then we get to step back and be able to follow and to learn something from them. So just encouraging everybody to be a leader or a follower in their appropriate time, and look forward to doing that. I will pass it over to Farron, our general evaluator.
Thanks, Sarah. Today, I will serve as the general evaluator to give an evaluation of the meeting, and I also have a team that will help me. I would like to first introduce the grammarian, Joey Myers.
Thank you, Ms. Farron. And I will jump, instead of putting it in there a little early, it's not showing my screen here, so we'll go like this. Instead of doing a little too early and then people cheating a little bit, I'm going to put it in there right now. And our word of the day is a somewhat easy one. We'll see if we can fit it into the leaders versus followers theme, but it is riddle, a mystifying, misleading, or puzzling question posed as a problem to be solved or guessed. It can also be something or someone difficult to understand. Sentence number one, a rebus, which I don't know what that is. Rebus is a riddle that is made, maybe that's part of the riddle, that is made up of a representation of syllables or words by using pictures or symbols. Sentence number two is a little easier to figure out the meaning. The new employee doesn't share many details about his background and personal life, so he remains something of a riddle. So I will be watching and listening to who uses the word riddle and any grammarian grammar type functions of our meeting. So back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thanks, Joey. Sorry, I lost the agenda for a second. Let me get it back. All right, next up is the odd counter, Heather Davis.
Thank you. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot I was doing double duty today. So thank you for reminding me, Farron. As odd counter, I will be, as the conversation goes, trying not to do what I'm doing right now. If there's any crutch words like my go-to is the no, things like that are filler words that don't quite add to the conversation. I'll be kind of tallying that as we go, and at the end of the meeting I'll let everybody know how they did. So yeah, good luck, and I'll pass it back to Farron.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess today. I lost the agenda again.
You're the timer.
I am the timer. That's why I'm lost today. I am logged into the wrong account, so I don't have my timer backgrounds. But before the first speech, I will have them downloaded, and I will have the green background at 5 minutes, a yellow background at 6 minutes, and a red background at 7 minutes. For table topics, I will have them there for a minute and a half, and 2 minutes. I will get myself together, I promise.
No worries.
And next up is Joey. Can you tell us what you do as Zoom Master, please?
Yes, ma'am. So on the Zoom Master, we'll be recording this meeting, which it is already in progress being recorded. We'll get that uploaded to YouTube, and I will be focusing the camera in on whoever's speaking, aside from maybe the table topics, which will use this little grid view so we can see everybody's beautiful, bright, shining faces while we're doing our table topics. But Chanel will get her single view, and we'll have the dual view for the evaluation. Actually, we'll probably do this grid because we're going to, Monica, I think you heard Chanel's first speech. Did you hear that last time? Yeah. So we'll do a similar, she's going to do that speech again, but with all the modifications and adjustments. And then we'll just do like what we did last time with the evaluation. We'll just let everybody chime in on how she did with her speech today. So I know you're a little late coming, didn't hear that. So that's what we'll be doing.
Thanks, Joey. I will give it back to the Toastmaster of the day, Sarah Dawson.
Thank you so much, Erin. And should I extend this out so you have more time to download it, or you're good?
I'm good
Sorry.
right now.
All right. Well, I get the wonderful privilege of introducing our president, who, in my opinion, always seeks new challenges and always constantly learning and growing. And I think it's fun to learn from her. And I think she's a leader in this area. She currently is going to be doing the speech contest the area speech contest coming up this Saturday. And her speech title is called The Opportunity. Welcome, Madam President, Chanel West. Yay, Chanel.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Let me tell you all about an amazing experience that I had. After almost 3 years of working hard for a little pay, a stable job position was practically dropped into my lap. A friend of mine who oversaw fundraising at a university told me about a job opening for a grant writer and personally invited me to come and interview for the position. I bought a new shirt just for the occasion, got there early, of course, had copies of my resume and work samples neatly stacked in a manila folder, and my most professional smile was plastered on my face. I got to interview with the CFO and the provost of the university, and I was in the fortunate position of my friend being the one who got to make the hiring decision. Now, this job position is going to be a huge blessing for me in many ways. My sister was struggling with her rent, and getting this job would allow me to help her out with that. The position would also elevate me into a higher circle of professional interaction, where I would rub shoulders with important donors in the community. A few days after the interview, my friend called me up and I answered, eager to discuss the next steps towards taking over the position. I heard his voice on the other end of the line and he said, hey, after talking with the team, we decided that we need to go with someone with more experience for this position. Click. In an instant, the hope and expectation that I had been feeling turned into disappointment and despair. And all because of one thing: rejection. Reject, verb, meaning to discard something or someone as useless or unsatisfactory. And being rejected for this job position made me feel exactly that. Useless, unsatisfactory, not good enough, not wanted. Now, rejection is not a foreign sensation to most of us. We have all experienced being turned down for a job, dumped by significant others, or stabbed in the back by people we thought were our friends. Rejection can range from things like mild events, like when our Instagram posts don't get as many likes as we were hoping, all the way to life-changing events, like when our significant other walks out on us. Today, I propose to flip our understanding of rejection on its head and propose a new paradigm for how we think about rejection and what it means to our lives. But first, I would like to tell you a couple more stories that are close to my heart. My youngest sister is 19, and last month, her boyfriend of 1.5 years called her and broke up with her over the phone 3 days before Valentine's Day. He didn't give much of a reason, just a jumbled explanation of half thoughts, which probably isn't that uncommon for 19-year-old boys. But in my sister's youth and perhaps her naivety, she thought that they were soulmates. Apparently, he thought differently. I can tell you that what she's feeling now has been feeling for the past 4 weeks and likely will continue to experience for weeks to come, is that I'm not good enough. I'm not wanted. Why doesn't he want me? I never knew my mom's parents when they were together. They got divorced when she was in middle school, and thankfully I wasn't born until she was much older. My grandparents got married when my grandma was 17. They both grew up in poor households in a rural area, and my grandma dropped out of high school in 1962 to marry my grandpa and move with him to a new city. It was supposed to be a move full of promise and new beginnings. Instead, after 18 years of marriage, he walked out on her for a younger, better-looking woman. What a message to send to somebody. You are not wanted. You are useless. You are not good enough. And for a long time, that is what my grandma felt. Reject, verb, need. Actually, I'm going to stop myself right there for a second, and let's switch from the narrative into a little conversation about definitions. Now, we know that the dictionary is always accurate. Of course, the dictionary makes the definition for words, but the dictionary is seldom exhaustive. The dictionary can only present a one-dimensional view of words and what they mean. Today, I propose a new or perhaps expanded definition of what it actually means to be rejected. This is a definition that we can actually live by, a definition that can shape our lives in the day-to-day. Are you ready? Reject, verb, meaning. To clear the way for something even better. Now let me explain. If I hadn't been turned down for so many job positions in my life, and it's been a lot more than just that one story that I told at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have pursued being self-employed. Now, I don't have to plaster a smile on my face when I wake up every morning because I genuinely love what I do. I wanted that job at the university so badly. But instead, I found something even better, the freedom to create a job that is tailored to me. And let's talk again about my sister. Losing her boyfriend so abruptly without warning has caused her to do some deep self-evaluation in life. She is considering the areas in which she needs to grow as a person. She is going to counseling for the first time in her life. I'm proud of her that because even in her youth, she recognizes that she has the opportunity to emerge from this rejection, understanding her own needs, her own strengths, and her own weaknesses better than ever before. And my grandma. When my mom was in high school, my grandma got remarried to a 50-year-old lifelong bachelor. He is my mom's stepdad, but I have always just known him as Papa. He was the man who gave my sisters and I piggyback rides to bed every night that we would stay with them. He was the man who built us a life-size playhouse in his backyard with his own hands. He was the man who loved my grandma for a long time in a way that she deserved to be loved. They were married for 40 years when she passed away holding his hand. Now, the rejection that my grandma experienced was devastating, but out of it came something truly beautiful. Friends, the meaning of rejection is so much more than just to discard. Rejection is a catalyst, a bulldozer that paves the way for something new, something even better than what was once there. If you take anything away from this speech today, I want you to take away this. Rejection is like a snowplow that clears all of the snow and junk out of the road to make way for all of the opportunities that will soon come cruising around the corner. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Chanel. Really appreciate that. I love your stories. So more of us will get to opportunities to tell some stories. I will introduce our table topics master, Heather Davis, and she will take it away and ask us all sorts of wonderful questions.
Thank you, Sarah, and wonderful speech, Chanel. I absolutely loved it. I'm excited for you to present it. I think you're going to do really great with it. With that said, I have 25 different possible questions that we can have you all answer. So I figure we could just do kind of what Joey likes to do and do question roulette this time around. Thought about doing specific questions about leaders and followers, but felt like that kind of pigeonholed us. So kind of making a little bit more open. So hopefully we can get some fun answers from these questions. So it's 1 through 25. Whoever wants to go first, we'll just let you pick a number and see what happens. Anybody want to go first? Sarah, awesome. Okay, pick a number between 1 through 25.
13.
13. Okay. What family tradition do you hope will continue?
That is a great question. I tend to be very sentimental, so this should be easy, but nothing is coming to mind really, really quickly. Oh, I know. Have you guys ever seen Blue Bloods? Raise your hand if you've seen Blue Bloods. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Blue Bloods is it's an ongoing police drama procedural movie or TV show. And in the TV show, it's this Irish Catholic family, and every Sunday they get together for lunch. No matter what they're doing, they always it's lunch or dinner. So they always get together on Sundays. They go to church, they have that afterwards, and they just have a time and they can hash out anything that's happening. But that's one of the things that happens in our family as well. We have Sunday lunch at my mom's every week. My mom, my dad, my brother, and sometimes my aunt and uncle, and my sister-in-law, or my sister-in-law is always there, but sometimes aunts and uncles or any guests that happen to be there. And it's just a very fun time to be able to get together, make each other meals, and sit down and just see how things have gone that week. And occasionally, just like in Blue Bloods, there's the arguments that happen and different things, but we always seem to come back around and reconcile. So we do have a little bit of Irish in us, but I think it's more the Italian side that causes to, back. Have a little bit of tension, but it's also a little bit of family loyalty, I guess you could call it, where you are there for your family no matter what. And I appreciate that. And I would like that tradition to continue. So thank you, Heather.
I love that so much. I really hope to have that happen with my family as well. I've grew up with family dinners, but I'd love to continue that as well. And funny enough, a couple weeks ago, I went on a Sunday walk with my niece, and I want to make that happen every Sunday too, because she's just the cutest. Sundays are for family, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? 1 through 25. Okay, Joey.
I'll go. Sarah, what number did you pick?
13.
I knew it. I'll go 17.
17. Okay. What sound puts you to sleep?
This is a great one because it used to be silence that used to put me to sleep. This was pre-kiddos, about little over 9 years ago, and a little bit of change. And it wasn't until, and I used to sleep, the train could go by, didn't matter what it was. I remember our apartment that my wife and I were living in before we got married. The apartment had right next to the train. The siren would go off and the whole thing. My wife complained every day, complain. And I didn't have a problem with it. I fell asleep fine. Then it wasn't until kiddo number 1 was born, and we really were struggling with that sleep deprivation for that entire year. It got better as the year went on, but it went from like 6 wake ups in the beginning, 6, 7, 8 wake ups, to slowly dropping 1 every month or so, every other month. And that wrecked my sleep. I couldn't get to sleep for anything. And one of the things that we did for him and for our daughter later was sound machines. So it's that white noise sound, like the fan in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing now, I don't think I can sleep without it. It's the sound machine. So when I go to sleep, it's usually with the sound machine on. If I have a hard time because I got too much stuff going on in my brain, then I will try. It's not really a sound, but it's more of counting. So I did a little bit of meditation for some time. So counting my breaths, counting an inhale as a 1, exhale 2, inhale 3, exhale 4, all the way to 10, and then count over. So it's a form of counting sheep. So I'll use a combination of that white noise machine and counting breaths. And that's how I get to sleep.
I love it. I'll have to try letting my husband know those tricks, because I swear, has
Insomnia.
thank you. I'm losing my words today. He has insomnia and has difficulty sleeping, especially since we moved into the city, because he lived out in the countryside area his whole life. So to hear cars go by, it was very tough for him. But we'll have to try that.
Maybe a noise machine. Yeah.
Better than falling asleep to my TV shows, which I do.
As long as it's not the Kardashians.
Oh gosh, no. Okay, so Sarah and Joey, thank you. Chanel, Farron, Monica, any of you lovely ladies want to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay, Monica, thank you. Pick a number between 1 through 25, except for 13 and 17.
Since today is March 8th, I'll go with number 8.
Ooh, it's also International Women's Day.
Yes,
and
it is.
My niece's 3rd birthday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So number 8, what do you think is the coolest invention?
This is a big riddle for me because there are so many cool inventions that are out there. But this last weekend, I went to the Home and Garden show, and to my surprise, I ran into a guy who was selling potato pillars / vegetable pillars. I stood there and I watched the whole presentation, and I was just at awe on how such a little gadget that probably cost this guy all of 50 cents to make was going to benefit my life in the kitchen. This invention would peel through cucumbers, it would peel through pineapples, and along with this invention, he threw in like 3 other gadgets on there. I took this gadget home, of course, for $29.99, a profit of probably about $28.50 for him. I showed it to my husband when he came home from work. And along with this package of goodies that I received was a little insert you would put in a lemon, a little red thing that screws on top of a lemon or any kind of citrus fruit, and you twist it in there. When you twist it in there, you squeeze, and along comes the juice from the lemon or the orange. I was just at awe because that probably cost them all of 2 pennies to make. And I think this invention is going to change my life forever because being Hispanic, we use a lot of lemon. So this little invention that cost maybe a penny to make and patent is going to forever be one of the best inventions that I had. All bought at the Home and Garden show this last weekend. Thank you.
I love that, Monica. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's always those really cool handy dandy tools that you would think that we would need, don't realize exist. It's like, you do exist. So that's really cool that you found something like that. Okay, perfect. So now we just have Chanel and Farron, and technically myself too. So I don't mind going if someone wants to pick a number for me. That way it's totally a surprise.
3.
3. Okay. Tell me about a time you're excited to have a key. I think personally for me, it would be when I had the first key to my first real apartment with my husband, because prior to us getting the apartment that we have today, we were staying in a little studio 1-bedroom apartment on his parents' property, which I was beyond thankful for. We could not really have survived without their help and letting us stay on their property. But I always felt like that was one thing in our relationship and our marriage that was missing, is like that true independency of just being on our own. So when we got our first apartment key a little over a year ago, it'll be 2 years this June that we've been living there. And that's just one of the things that I'm most thankful and happy for, because I can just really call it my own. Even when it's really messy and I don't want to call it my own, but it is our own. And that's probably when I was most excited to get a key. Thank you, Joey. So Chanel and Farron. Chanel, you're unmuted, so I'm going to just pick on you. So pick a number except for 3, 8, 13, and 17.
22.
22. Where would you want to live if you were choosing a place based only on the food?
Oh. I think if I was choosing to live in a place solely on the food, I would choose to live in California. So I'm very fortunate. I truly am in a lot of ways a stereotypical granola-y Californian. I love things like granola and yogurt and avocados and all of the well-known California foods. And California is also a very diverse place. So it is not necessarily challenging to find a wide variety of foods, especially in the large metro areas like Los Angeles and the Bay Area. There is really good Hispanic type cuisine. There's really good Asian cuisine. I especially have an affinity for Indian food since I've been to India. And I think all of those things are available here. So it's a well-rounded place to live, that I would say, and it's also somewhat, it's not difficult to find healthier eating as opposed to some other areas of the United States where comfort food is still more the norm.
I love it.
We live in, of course, the largest agricultural valley in, I think, in the world. So the abundance of fresh fruits and vegetables just here in Fresno is also a really big plus.
Yeah, you definitely have it all here in California. I love that. Okay, so we just have one more. Miss Barron.
I was gonna pick 22, but we'll go with number 2.
Okay, number 2. What is something you can do very quickly?
Hmm. It's hard to think of one thing. I feel like I do a lot of things quickly, or at least efficiently. But I did have someone comment recently on how quickly I can cook a meal. I have perfected cooking different things and having them ready at exactly the right time, so I can serve a dish with everything on the meal or everything on the plate being hot. And the way that I move around the kitchen, nobody can be in the kitchen when I'm in the kitchen, because I will literally just run over you, or I will grab for something. And if you're in my way, I'm like socking you in the stomach or something. It'll happen because I'm just so quick and everything is exactly where it is. I always put things back exactly in the same spot. So I'm very efficient and quick in the kitchen. And like I said, nobody can be in there when I'm in there. So I have to kick everyone out, including my dog. I've stepped on this new puppy that we have so many times because he wants to be in the kitchen. He smells food cooking. He's sitting there waiting for something to fall. And I'm like, dude, you're going to get run over, because I'm in my zone when I'm cooking. So yeah, I would say I'm a quick cooker, meal preparer.
Love that. No, my cat's the worst too. He'll be like right under my feet. I'm like, do you want to die? It's terrible. Well, thank you everybody for sharing. I am going to pass it back to our Toastmaster for the day, Miss Sarah Dawson.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think I will just immediately hand it over back to our general evaluator, Farron. Hey, Farron.
Hey, I will introduce Joey as our evaluator for Chanel's speech.
Thank you, ladies. Let me pull up my notes here. So I just got a couple notes and then we'll just open the floor. I think Chanel did a great job with taking what we gave her last time and reformulating, readjusting some of the speech. I think it was pretty powerful. I think at times some of us probably had a little welling up starting to come to the eyes, right? So that's always a great thing to connect with the audience. And when it comes to rejection, everybody at some point in time have experienced, especially that we looked at it as that first definition in any aspect of our life, whether it be relationships or jobs or business or sports, whatever it is, that is a very universal, and you could go across the world, you go to any country and rejection is the same to all humans. So I think it's a great topic that touches everybody at some aspect of it. The key is to when you use your stories is to pick the stories that are going to hit a majority of those people. In relationships, that's a big one. That's a big one. So my notes, I thought overall great. I don't know if I have anything, maybe some of you have some things maybe to tune up a little bit. I think the power, these are more broad strokes, I think, coming from me. I think the big power of this speech is compare and contrast. So you're comparing the typical definition of rejection to what your wish is, what your inspirational definition of rejection. So the stories should, in the beginning, I thought you did a great job of demonstrating that first definition, and then showing and demonstrating the second definition, which was the inspirational definition. So compare and contrast, I think, is the main theme, and you stick to that. Compare and contrast is very powerful. Many of you have come across marketing in the body shaping world, and men and women for different reasons. But that compare and contrast where you see before and after is very powerful when you see that. So that's a main theme. And then rhetorical question, I think, would fit pretty well where you ask the audience who feels, especially on the first definition, who feels this definition of rejection, and have people raise their hand. And I'm sure a majority of the people will. And then what you'll do is you'll promise that by the end of this, that we will change the paradigm of how you think about rejection. And that's the inspirational element of it. Because Chanel, this is the international speech, right? This is the inspirational speech.
Yes.
Yeah. So tying that in, I would think early on, after you define the typical rejection, and give them a promise so that when you're going through and you're really hammering how horrible rejection feels, that you're promising them the newer version of it. So that's what I have to say on that. So anybody else?
Monica, were you gonna?
Go ahead if you want. Go ahead.
No. You unmuted first. Go for it.
I was just saying, good job, Chanel, on the speech. The first things that were in my mind were resilience and grit. Those are the new terminologies now modernly that people are starting to use those a lot, because it's, they want to really figure out what those definitions are. So the whole entire speech, I saw your resilience where, something bad might have happened, but something good came out of it. Grit, learning the grit and overcoming that. Like those two words, and I have a lot of stuff that like presentations that I had to review. Those two words nowadays are really big. I don't know if you can include those on your definition, but nowadays, grit, resilience.
Mm-hmm.
But good job. And honestly, I really liked your stories. I felt connected with you.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that I can find a way to add those words into my narrative, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Sarah?
I think Monica kind of covered the essence of what I was thinking, because I absolutely loved it when you said about connecting with the stories. Absolutely. And maybe even emphasizing the positive side more, because you're really good at explaining the rejection feelings, and then even emphasizing even more the positive and the upbeat feelings in addition to that. It would be great, like what she was talking about, the resilience or the grit or whatever, like your sister's now in counseling, or even the ending of, I can't remember the exact words you were using at the ending, but just because your title is the opportunity, and it is a great opportunity of feeling rejected and being able to overcome that and be able to change a life circumstance, and the way that you deal with all of that. I thought the title was perfect for this. It is a great opportunity. And so excellent job. I loved hearing it. And I think the best part of it was just what Monica mentioned about the connectivity and the connection with the stories that I think every one of us can relate to. So
yeah, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, and maybe, oh, you got muted, Sarah. What did you say? You finished something there?
I did. I think I ended with great stories as I was muting.
You were riding off into the sunset and you were going far away, and then what did she say? What was her?
Yeah, great job.
And piggybacking on what Sarah and Monica said, what might be interesting is, instead of showing a almost half and half, showing bad, good type of thing, contrast, compare and contrast. Maybe start with the bad, start with the first story with your job, with the rejection of the job, and then how you made it out of that. And then go into your sister, bad, good, and then go into your grandma, bad, good. And that follows that thing I think I mentioned last time, where you're taking the audience up this windy or valley mountain type of emotional roller coaster. And that's the power of these speeches. Again, if you go on a YouTube and look up international speech contest winner 2020 or 2019, that's what they do. They go here, and it could be unpredictable or it could be predictable. People will get the pattern after the first or maybe the second one, but then you hit them with the third one, they'll kind of know what to expect. But I think maybe that might be a little bit more interesting with that, showing that compare and contrast a little bit more frequent.
Hmm. I
Aaron?
have to think.
Yeah, I actually really like the structure of the speech, and I appreciated the delivery of it. I also connected with the stories. I think that was great. The one thing that I would want more of is your conclusion. You said, if you take away something from the speech, I want it to be this. And then I feel like I only heard half of it, and then your voice kind of trailed off again. So I didn't catch the main point at the end. So I think make that just a stronger delivery, and then maybe even repeat it. And maybe as well repeat the definition, the new definition that you want to give rejection. Maybe repeat that instead of just delivering it once.
And possibly comparing, contrasting old to new. That could be good too. Just suggestions. You know, you're in the end going to make your decisions, right, Chanel?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe in the conclusion, like repeat the same thing in a couple different ways. It's the same point, but maybe said a little differently. Do you guys think that the title is an effective setup?
The opportunity. Heather, go ahead.
So
I just wanted to clarify, what was the title again?
the opportunity. So last time I had a different title. It was like rejection was in the title, but the idea of what I changed with the opening was like starting off where you think it's going to be this great story, but then suddenly it goes bad and the rejection happens. So I didn't want to give that away in the title, so people weren't quite sure what to expect. But I do think that it's I guess just in general, do you think that the title sets it up well?
Where you can create a little curiosity with the title. Don't make it too long, 2, 3, 4 words max. But a lot of times using like oxymorons work because it gets people going, huh? Where you could say something like, is rejection grit, or grit rejection, or, you know, something like that. Those words that Monica used, resilience, or it could be in the form of a question. You can use it as, because questions are great because it gets people to be introspective. It gets them to think in back. That's what's nice when you ask a question. People take their attention off of you. They might be staring at you, but their attention's not on you. So questions are always good. Maybe there's a way to form that in a way that creates curiosity and in the form of a question. And you could do that in 3, 4 words, and that you can almost mix that curiosity with the question. And those are always good ones because people that will catch people's attention.
My first thought along those same lines, Joey, is to say bring on the rejection, because it is like that oxymoron. They'd be like, why? Why would we want to bring on rejection? Like, that's bad.
Or healthy rejection or something along those lines, right? Where you're looking at rejection like it's almost a nice thing, a nice friendly thing, where most people don't.
Blessings or lessons from rejection.
Yeah, I was trying to leave the word rejection out of the title though, so as not to give away the opening story.
Or you could say reject opportunity, question mark.
Yeah. Okay, I can think on that.
Something like that.
If you were really liking the opportunity, then putting that word in your speech more, because I don't think I ever heard the word opportunity in your
Right.
speech, but I wasn't paying attention as much.
Mhm.
But this rejection led to an opportunity of this, and like have that as your transition between the rejection and the opportunity of change, whatever the new thing is. If you like, if you wanted to keep the opportunity.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. All right, thank you.
I just wanted to say
Good.
one thing.
Go ahead, Heather.
Sorry, I was having difficulty unmuting myself. The only thing I would suggest, if you're thinking of another title, just doing maybe like a play on words. I was looking up some definitions of rejection for you. So like spurned and burned, things like that, that you could have a fun type of way of titling your speech. Just a suggestion. I always love a play on words.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, thank you.
Very good. Is that good? Chanel, gives you enough to work with?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, everybody.
You got it. All right. I will pass the baton back over to Farron, our general evaluator, and we'll go over our evaluation of the meeting.
Awesome. Thanks, Joey. Let's see. First up is my timer report, actually. Chanel, you went a little bit over the time at 7:38. Do they give you an extra 30 seconds or an extra minute for the contest?
Second, so I would be disqualified at that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you're at 7:38. And then for table topics, we all did really amazing. We were all perfect on our table topics times. Sarah, you had 131, Joey 142, Monica 145, Heather 102, Chanel 134, and mine was a minute 17. Joey, you stopped right as I hit the red background at 3 minutes exactly. So great job on your evaluation. And I will now call up my odd counter. That was Heather.
Thank you, Farron. From what I could tell, Chanel, in your speech, I didn't catch any crutch words, any no weird breaks or anything like that. So if you felt like you did, I'm sorry, I didn't catch those. And to be honest, it seems like this time around, people did really well. I caught one so from Sarah and one from Monica, and then a few ums and so's for myself. But other than that, overall, from what I could tell during this meeting, people seem to be really good with their crutch words. Yeah, so that's my report for today.
Thank you, Heather. I cannot find a way to work in the word riddle right before Joey's report, but I didn't hear riddle very often. Let's see how we did, Joey.
Good point there, Farron. And let me know if I missed you, but I did get Monica. Monica put it in. She came in a little bit later into the meeting. I put it down. We put that definition up there so that she could see it, because if we put it up before she came in, she wouldn't have seen it. She used it. Anybody else? Did I not catch anybody? Riddle, different word for what our theme was. And that sometimes it's an easy word, but if our theme if it's not along the theme lines, then typically it's harder to work in. So
Joey, should we all be riddled with guilt that we didn't use it?
boom. Yes. All right. Back to you, Farron.
Thanks, Joey. I think we had a really good meeting, although it was small staffed, but it was a great opportunity for Chanel to give her speech again and get a lot of feedback. So I think we did a great job on that. And again, table topics went really well. It was a lot of fun, Heather. So thank you for all those cool questions. And I will give it back over to Madam President Chanel.
Thank you. All right, so I'm looking at the agenda for next week, and we have Kalani and Monica down to speak. Monica, does that still work for you?
That'll work. I haven't wrote it yet, so
Mhm.
but I'll go for it. I will not be here the week after that, so I'll get it out of the way.
Okay, awesome. And have you been able to get logged into Pathways?
Yes, so I'll be using the pathways. I think the next one I have is just, it's like a pick a topic for 5 minutes and talk about is my next one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can also use your first speech, your icebreaker, if you wanted to. You don't have
Mhm.
to, but just taking the feedback that you got from the first speech and you can remodel that speech, kind of like what Chanel did today. You can do that, but not everybody does that.
Yeah. No, I'll go for the next one. I have a couple ideas. So,
Okay, good.
thank you.
Looking forward to it. And then the week after, we have Heather Farron and Mike Ellis down. Does that still work for both of you on the March 22nd?
If you don't mind, can I actually push mine to the 29th? I just have a little bit more going on that week than I thought I would. So I don't want to stress myself out.
Yeah. That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, and then those of us who will be here next week, can we have somebody volunteer for Toastmaster, Table Topics Master, and General Evaluator at least?
I won't be here, sorry.
I'll be Toastmaster, Chanel.
Okay, thank you, Joey.
I like that theme.
I could be general evaluator.
I don't think I've done table topics in a while, so I'll write myself in for that. Karen, are you going to be present?
I can do Zoom Master and All Counter.
Okay, cool.
You can throw me in for timer too, Chanel, if nobody else wants it.
Okay, and I can put myself down for grammarian also.
Do we have enough on the evaluators, or are we just gonna figure that out?
Oh, I forgot about it.
Because we got 3.
Two.
Oh,
Yeah,
2.
Two next
Oh, that's
week.
right. Heather moved.
So, yeah, I guess I can do an evaluation then.
Did you guys get a grammarian? Sorry, it's kind of loud in my office.
That's okay. Well,
Did you guys?
Chanel, you took that, right? Why don't you give that to Monica, and then that'll free you up a little bit for the eval.
Yeah, but she's speaking.
Oh, that's right.
Mhm.
So yeah, Monica, since you're speaking, you don't have to do any other roles.
Okay, just making sure.
Denny, is Denny gonna be back next week?
I don't know, maybe I'll ask her.
I can take an eval role or just an additional role if there's needed.
And Heather, you have 3 speeches, right? You given 3?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've definitely given more than
Okay.
3 by now.
Maybe jump Heather in there for
Okay,
eval.
okay. That's good. All right. It is 1 o'clock on the dot, so if you don't have any other announcements or anything that needs to be brought up, I will adjourn the meeting.
All right. Have a good rest of the week, ladies.
All right, thanks guys, see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.